Awesome. So welcome everyone to community call number 17. The community call for anyone who's new is essentially a monthly call that we do with the community to talk about Superfluid's roadmap, to share any new things that we're working on, as well as to engage the community and just have a more open discourse and dialogue with the community about what they're building. So generally we have some hackathon presentations or some new projects that people are working on, and we go through them and people are able to talk about them. So the agenda for today, first we're going to start off, Sam's going to run us through the bounties for ETHAmsterdam, which is coming up just around the corner. Next, we're going to have Vijay talk a little bit about the product roadmap and share an update there. And then we're also going to have a hackathon project, Huma Finance, present what they've been working on. And then last, of course, as always, we will open it up to Q&A. So anyone that wants to talk about a project they're working on, any questions that they want to ask the team, we're happy to answer those. So if anything comes up during the call, you can feel free to leave any questions in the chat, and we'll be happy to get to it there. But let's kick off, and I will stop sharing. So Sam, you can go through the bounties for ETHAmsterdam.
Oh, I'm muted. Can you guys see my screen?
Muted. Yeah.
We can see it. There we go. Yeah. I thought you were just being quiet today.
No, sorry. I was talking. Sorry about that. So Superfluid, we're going to sponsor ETHAmsterdam. It's an event we're excited about. We like in-person events. They can be kind of chaotic, but we love the ETH Global team, and they usually do a pretty good job logistically. So, hopefully the event is great. And if you're there, we're really excited to see you there. So hackathons so far this year, just a quick overview of how things have gone so far. They've gone very well, right? So we've had 115 or so projects built on Superfluid so far this year, roughly 3.5 months into the year. That's pretty good. That's just this year alone. We've had hundreds overall, but we've also, out of these hackathons and out of all these projects, we have many potential actual ventures, right? So Huma Finance, who's going to present later, is a good example of that, but there's quite a bit in the pipeline that we're really excited to hopefully help take to markets. And these hackathons are a really important place where we find the next builders of great products on Superfluid. And most recently, a recent victory we had was at DAO Hacks last weekend. We had 35 submissions for projects built on Superfluid. Right? That was like a little over 30% of all the projects at the event. And it's overall just really bullish for our ecosystem. And we hope to continue the momentum at ETHAmsterdam. So in terms of bounties, you're going to see these, if you've done hackathons with us before, these look somewhat similar to our previous prizes because we found that this kind of prize listing tends to work in motivating you guys to build something interesting. So the first prize is going to be $3,000 for the best overall project built with Superfluid. Second prize is going to be $2,000 for the most futuristic project built on Superfluid. We like to add this most futuristic category because we don't really know at the end of the day what you guys are going to build. And we get surprised at almost every event. So $2,000 for the most futuristic project. And then we have $1,000 for two selections. So we'll have two separate winners here, but we'll have $1,000 for the best Superfluid integration with another sponsor, and we'll give two of these away. So if you want to bring together Superfluid and some other sponsors' tech at the event, you'll qualify for this prize. There are lots of other great sponsors at the event. So we have Uma, we've got Lens Protocol, we've got My Skill Wallet, or just Skill Wallet, not My Skill Wallet. I'm thinking of My Ether Wallet, conflating the two. But there are lots of cool things you can build, integrations with Superfluid on that could be cool and would qualify you for this prize. And finally, if you build anything on Superfluid and don't win one of the other prizes, you'll be split part of this $1,000 prize pool, right? Just for other projects that were able to successfully implement us. So those are the prizes for the event. We hope to see you there, and hopefully this motivates you to hack on us. In terms of developer resources, I always want to highlight things that might help you if you decide to build a project on Superfluid at the event. One of those things is the Superfluid Developer Console, which you see here. It's a really useful tool when you're building on Superfluid. The other useful thing that might help you is the Superfluid dashboard, which many of you here are probably familiar with. And then finally, you should really check out our SDK if you haven't already. Right? This makes it really easy to work with streams. And if you're familiar with JavaScript and TypeScript, you can create streams and update them and get data in just a very few lines of code. So we'll be here all weekend at Amsterdam to help you out. We'll have a brainstorming session tomorrow in our Discord. We don't have that many people registered for it yet, but we hope that you do. I'll put out an announcement today about this session. So hopefully we get some people showing up. We'll give some ideas to you guys there and we'll help you form teams. And yeah, so if you want to fill out this poll that Reese just put up about whether or not you're going to be joining ETHAmsterdam, that'll help us just get a pulse check on how many of you will be there. And if you're there, please reach out to us. We'd love to meet up with you in person and help you build. So.
Is it a purely in person?
It is.
Yeah.
It is, yes.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sam. I'll leave that poll up for a little bit just in case there's some more people that want to fill it out. But yes, we can move on to the product roadmap update with VJ.
Awesome. It's my first time presenting one of these, so hey everyone. Yeah, I mean, very much one of the things I wanted to do since I first came aboard with Superfluid was to kind of expose a little bit more of what we're working on and how we're getting there. And today, excited to kind of release to you guys here on this call a kind of alpha view of our roadmap. So if you go to this link, superfluid.canny.io, you can see a bunch of the features that are in progress. And eagle-eyed of you will see that in the top right-hand corner here, we have something called Superfluid Dashboard 2.0. So excited to talk a little bit more about that. In general, we want to extend this kind of model to more and more of our work at Superfluid. But today, the dashboard there, the roadmap there basically just covers our Superfluid dashboard. But yeah, we hope to expand it out in the future and hope that you all get stuck in there. You're able to upvote and downvote different items on those boards, sort of add your own ideas, and then basically track them as they get embedded into our product. So yeah, invite you all to go and check out that link. So what is Dashboard V2 that you've just seen over there? We are working on a full sort of from scratch rebuild of our Superfluid dashboard with a number of exciting features, massive design improvements, and basically leveling up on a bunch of different areas in a way that we wanted to for a while, but sort of been a little bit held back by our legacy code and stuff. So the new Superfluid dashboard, I've been able to play around with it a little bit already, is blazingly fast, built on our new JS SDKs, our new core and Redux SDKs, and sort of comes from scratch multi-network with a beautiful dark mode, as you can see in that final screenshot, and a bunch more. So all of the features that you're seeing on the previous page are features that we are building now for the Dashboard 2.0. And in addition to announcing this, I'm also announcing a kind of Superfluid beta testers program. So there will be a preview build available to testers in the coming weeks. And we are aiming to give a full release of this Dashboard 2.0 by the end of Q2. So stay tuned for updates. And yeah, if you want to sign up for testing, essentially what it is in practice is going to be a couple of Zoom calls over sort of a few weeks, a dedicated Discord channel, and a bow-up for joining us. And of course, early access and the ability to shape how our roadmap is implemented. So I hope you'll sort of consider signing up. And we hope to get back to you if you do sort of fill out this table form within the next week or two to basically let you know whether or not we picked you for our panel. We want to make sure that it's a kind of mixed group from across a bunch of different dimensions. Yeah, that's everything I have to share with you today. And I hope you get stuck in on Discord and on that Canny board to kind of chat about the features in detail. I'm really excited to see what you think of the stuff we have queued up and the great ideas you're going to bring to the table. Thanks.
Awesome. That's awesome, VJ. Would you mind sharing the link to the Canny and to the Airtable in the chat there? That'd be perfect.
Absolutely.
And just to share the results of that poll, for interested in signing up. We have a lot of people, looks like, that would be willing to sign up and test out Dashboard V2. So that's awesome. So definitely do follow up in the chat there and sign up on that Airtable link if you're interested. And also, just to backtrack for a second, we have a bunch of people that will be attending ETHAmsterdam, actually. So 12 people, 40% said yes. Sadly, a bunch of people won't be able to make it either, as it is a purely physical event in person. So 50% won't be able to make it, but hopefully you'll be at future hackathons as well. Great. Now, I think we can pass the baton off to Yao to introduce Huma Finance.
Yeah, hey everyone. Huma Finance is one of our, it's very great projects, and they are the best overall project during our East Denver Hackathon virtual pod. And Huma Finance is income-backed, under-collateralized financing protocol. So now I will just leave the stage to Huma Finance.
Thank you, Yao. Thank you, community, GM, everybody. We're so excited, first of all, to partner up with Superfluid. I could say, both myself and then our teammates, Richard is on the call, G is on the call, and Michael is on the call. We spend a lot of time in this tech domain, but we haven't had partnerships as special as Superfluid, so we feel really lucky to be partnering up with you guys. And we're also happy to reveal this for the first time to a larger audience outside of ETH Denver. What we have been fascinated with in the past was this problem that you might call liquidity gap, right? So the whole world has this problem spread around everywhere. You're super talented, you want to go to college, but you don't have enough money to actually enroll in the best college. You have this liquidity gap. You go and need to get some financing for it, and then the financing is happening because they expect you to have certain income and pay it back. Same thing happens when you want to buy a house. You have liquidity gap. Same thing for a startup. You want to hire people, but your liquidity gap. You go to investors who basically invest in you for your future revenue potential, and this kind of goes on and on and on. In every single part of our lives, and maybe even more stressful situations where 50% of America don't have any savings and they live paycheck to paycheck, and they have this liquidity gap almost every single week, right? They need to pay rent, pay for a medical bill, pay for kids expenses, or some simple things like putting gas in their car to get to work, but they have this liquidity gap. They don't have enough money. They need to go and find money from somewhere. So this liquidity gap actually ends up screwing people up if they don't have good options. The people who get super rich are the ones who have a lot of liquidity and can get compounding interest on that. And then the people who constantly looking for liquidity in this gap are getting screwed because they don't necessarily always have great options. So when we saw what Superfluid was building, we're like, holy shit, like this is the holy grail of basically filling in a liquidity gap. Because if basically income information is in a stream and people are getting paid in real time, instead of waiting for whatever the time period or uncertainty they have for payment, actually you can build a lot of cool stuff on top of that. So we kind of like built this Huma demo to demonstrate what can be built on an income-backed financing protocol, again powered by things like Superfluid. So in this demo, we wanted to demonstrate what happens when you actually have a Web3 contributor. You get paid in crypto, but again, you have this liquidity gap, right? Either your DAO, forgot to process your payments, or maybe they're running something and it's taking long. How do you actually get some liquidity if you're kind of like in a crunch? So in this example, if you go one more slide, G, we're building this again for 99% and the Web3 contributors instead of the whales and speculators. In a way, you can actually think about your income as like a superpower. So if you have income, and if time to time your income has actually some idle capability for you to actually put it into something, we can actually use that to get you something that generates yield, right? So our protocol can actually use that income. You can generate yield every single second and win every single, gain something every single second. And that money goes into what we call a community pool. And that community pool is what powers the lending capability. So anybody who actually is in a crunch and liquidity gap can actually go to that borrowing pool, the lending pool, and can actually borrow money against their future income. And all of this is actually supported by, again, no collateral whatsoever, only by the information power of people are getting paid in every single second. And that's, for us, a really, really important aspect of what we're building. And at the same time, you can set automated payback streams, again, using Superfluid, where you don't need to worry about anymore, when do I need to pay? How much do I need to pay? Because every single second you start actually paying back to the liquidity pool. And this is basically, powering up what we call the peer-powered income financing, as we demonstrate in our demo. So G is going to show you how this is all going to work.
Hi everyone. To use Huma, simply go to huma.finance, launch the app with the wallet connected. Make sure I'm receiving a payroll flow from my employer. In this case, I'm receiving about 5,000 X from Superfluid. When I do have some savings, I can supply my payroll to the community pool, so I can earn some interest by contributing to the community. Once my supply is in, I can see how much interest I'm earning in real time, and I can withdraw it anytime I want. Or in another scenario, I'm a little short of money and cannot wait until my payroll flow accumulates enough. I may borrow from the community with a fixed APR without providing any collateral at all. When I finalize my borrow, a repay flow is instantly created. So part of my payroll goes to the borrow to make sure I can pay it off on time, which is managed by Chainlink keepers. Now back to Erbo for future work.
Thank you, G. So, with the encouragement we got at ETH Denver, both from partners like Superfluid and the Ethereum community, we decided to actually accelerate our roadmap quite a bit. So we just, formed the company around this idea. And even this morning, I was seeing intros coming from Fran to VCs. So thank you again so much, Fran, for all your help and partnership on that. And we're building what we call a more generalized protocol that can work with all different types of on-chain payments. And again, we really believe the superpower of the Superfluid, and we'll try hard to bring that power into different parts of the ecosystem. And from there, we are looking to empower not just personal financing needs, but many different types of income-backed financing needs across multiple domains, including play to earns and others. So yeah, we're excited to be building with this community.
Love it.
It's awesome. Does anyone have any questions for the team?
I have a question. So it looks like what you guys have built already, and I'm familiar with what you guys have worked on because we've talked on some development things.
Yeah, you helped us so much.
Yeah,
Sam, I would say we could not have built it without you.
Well, good. That's good to hear. Glad we're helpful. But I think I like the idea of being able to deposit part of the salary into the pool, right, and earn interest. That's cool because it doesn't necessarily rely on outside capital, right? But would you also, with this system, would you also allow outside, you mentioned this is DeFi for 99%, right? Do you also intend to build in functionality for people like whales or large pools of capital to also deposit liquidity and earn yield that way? Or do you want to confine it to just people that are sending streams in? Is there a reason why some outside bigger player couldn't also provide liquidity?
Yeah, Sam, thank you.
Yeah.
Erbo, you want to do it or you want me to do it?
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to. Basically, we believe in DeFi being an open platform. We don't necessarily need to confine things only to a very small segment of people, especially again if that kind of investment and liquidity provider is going to enable a larger community, right? So it might be that actually it accelerates our bootstrapping of our liquidity pools and enables this solution for larger amounts of people. So yes, we'll be happy to bring in different types of liquidity providers.
I think one key differentiator here is that many other ones build almost exclusively for the whales and the spectators. And we will keep in mind for average people like you and me to participate into the pool.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I think that's a really good story and narrative that I think a lot of people would be very interested in, right? So yeah, I like that a lot. So I'm excited to see this continue to grow.
Thank you, guys.
Totally.
Hi, Huma Finance team. I have a question. How do you ensure that the people are gonna give back the money if there is no collateral? How do you ensure if I pass X percentage of my salary, of my wage, are gonna be there if 5 people drop off?
Yeah, so this is kind of like where our former experience comes into play. We have actually built these systems in fintech that has underwritten, billions of dollars in undercollateralized or uncollateralized loans. And G, who is on this call, he's an expert in basically how to build, risk models and machine learning models that basically gives a probabilistic, understanding to your income, right? So if your income is very stable, if your income doesn't move in and out of the wallet too much, there is a higher chance that the stream is going to be there, and you'll be able to pay it, over time. If a lot of money moving in and out of your wallet, if the income is not necessarily stable, if the income that's just started, from a new Gnosis safe that you might have actually put together, those are signs that actually statistically you have a higher chance of defaulting. So we have what you might call dynamic credit lines for that reason. So almost everybody starts based on that information with a smaller portion of their income being able to borrow from the pool, and then the more they pay back, they're able to actually borrow from the pool increases. So over time, you're building a low risk portfolio, even though your initial use case and initial users, you might not necessarily have too much information. You might have a slightly higher default rate, but from a portfolio dollars perspective, you can still get to a very low risk rate. So it's the mathematical model, basically.
Yeah. And also I can add one more point is that when you manage loans, it's always a strike of the balance between scale and risk. So you don't want to bring down your risk to be zero. If you bring down to zero, most likely you're going to substantially limit your scale. Just like we are all software engineers, if you want to purely build a bug-free system, it will take forever. But you want to maintain the quality bar to a certain level, but meanwhile, so that you can achieve reasonable velocity. And you look at so far all the DeFi, what we have done is that because we don't understand the risk, so we use the over collateralization. In a way, we are trying to bring the risk to almost zero. So that's why you see the DeFi, you see the total value locked in the last 6 months kind of plateaued. That means you purely rely on collateralization. There's a limit how far you can go. But if you look at Web2, TradeFi, there's much bigger scale. The key thing is for you to understand the risk so that you know what risks you are willing to underwrite and charge how much extra interest rate. So your risk loss will be reflecting in the interest rate as well. So that's really, it's a fine balance for you to do it.
Okay, great, thanks.
Awesome. So you guys are basically using a combination of you are using a bit of reputation in there then, right? Like the reputation of somebody as they continue to pay back, you're allowing that line of credit to go up, right? And I think that's interesting, right? That could become something much bigger over time. Right? So I like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
and also
kind of
another interesting thing that Superfluid enabled, right? You think about this, if somebody borrows something, if they have a continuous payback, the chance for them to deprioritize this payment or forget about this payment is probably much lower than if they have to remember to pay back. So I think this payback mechanism is also another way that actually help you to manage risk. I can imagine for people who borrow from us, if they use Superfluid, the risk will be lower, the interest rate will be lower. If they don't use, the interest rate will be higher. I think that will be a very unique use case to highlight the power of Superfluid.
I also have a question. So regarding the credit risk management, will you guys use more like KYC procedures, or it's more like analysis of data on chain, and also regarding to on chain, off chain data you can find about the financial user?
Great question. So KYC in a lot of ways deals with not necessarily risk, but fraud, right? So there's like this different segments of what you need to care about. So fraud and blacklisted accounts who might be in the money laundering domains or sanctioned domains who might not necessarily be allowed to borrow from an international money compliance perspective. So KYC kind of like guards against those. In our case, we are more kind of like focused on the risk analysis and the risk management and risk underwriting. So for those reasons, we're not against KYCs or people utilizing KYCs who might want to plug to our system and provide this opportunity to people who are off chain. That's completely doable and completely okay to do, and we'll empower that as well. But right now we don't necessarily we don't necessarily know very powerful on-chain or easily pluggable on-chain, off-chain KYC solutions. So at least in our initial roadmap, we haven't really factored that in. Later on, obviously, there's going to be more identity solutions, and we'll look into partnering with those platforms and bring it in. The other item part of your question is off-chain data, right? So there's always going to be this split between people having on-chain assets and off-chain assets, and on-chain data versus off-chain data. So our goal is to not necessarily bridge the assets. Our goal is to bridge the data. So we have this what you might call a bring your own data scheme that we can actually mint NFTs that represents your off-chain data and off-chain income, or have some other ZKP gated solutions to bring that data information into the on-chain to empower the protocol to basically underwrite larger loans and stuff. Because if we have capability to pay back, it doesn't matter if that information is coming from on-chain or off-chain.
Awesome. We just have, looks like one last question before we move on, and it's from Chinmay. And he's wondering, great project, guys. How are you going to enable smart contracts to get the risk assessment data? And if you want to add further color to that, Chinmay, you can feel free to hop in as well.
G, do you want to answer that?
Sure. So what we're thinking in our roadmap is that we have a liquidity pool protocol, which is the product we just went through. Additional to that, we can build another risk protocol, which is like plugging into whatever liquidity pool people want to use. We use our expertise to build models, to use our expertise in risk domain, adding risk management rules, such that all the liquidity pools can consume.
Reese, could I slip in one question? Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Hey, hi, this is, I'm better known as T. Raj. Erbil, does the yield you get on the liquidity pool for the lenders net of any defaults?
Hi, Anthony. I'm not sure I understood the question.
So when you have a liquidity pool, then there is the risk of someone defaulting or delays or something like that, right? There's always that risk, no matter how efficient your models are. You always have that. People just borrow and then they run away, right? And then you don't lend them again. So who bears that risk? Presumably that risk is a loss in the pool, whatever pool you put.
That's right. Yeah, great question. So there are multiple mechanisms we are thinking about putting this in, right? So one is basically the interest rate is going to be representing the risk in different pools. So we'll have a trenched pooling system where different types of risk pools will have different kind of interest rate. So because the lenders are putting money to get a higher yield, they're also assuming higher risk. So ideally, that risk is going to be covered by that. We also have a few other ideas in terms of how the distributors of our protocol might also need to stake something into these pools, so kind of like become under collateralized in that way, and they become both the guarantor of basically how this protocol is distributed and to whom, create maybe a social layer of responsibility, but also we have some collateral at least to absorb some of the additional risk that might not be covered by the interest rate. Over time, once those are mature, statistically it should work out, and interest rate should always cover the protocol. We also have some interesting ideas about like how to do our tokenomics. So the tokens are actually locking more and more capital in, versus tokens are only used to basically incentivize liquidity providers. So think about it this way: you put 1,000 USDC in. and you have, let's say 4% yield on that. So we're paying you your money, your interest, all in Huma tokens, and we keep locking that money into the protocol, and it becomes basically protocol's asset, and we keep paying you back in Huma tokens. And what you're gaining back is basically with Huma tokens is the ability to control that treasury, right? So the treasury is growing, it creates a bigger and bigger buffer, and the Huma tokens become basically the governance tokens to control how this treasury is used in terms of how to expand the protocol. So those are kind of some of the different ways we're thinking. If you have ideas, please let us know. But at least initially, that's what we have in the plan.
Yeah, I think I will add one more is that with the risk model, we expect we're going to label different loans, whether this is a high risk, medium risk, or low risk. And then for different LP providers, based on their risk appetite, they can choose. For my loan, I only want to, for my LP, I only want to apply to this spectrum of risk. Just like Uniswap, they can specify which range they want to deploy their capital to. So I think that will be a way for user to choose what they want to engage with.
No, I like that because I've spent a couple of years on TradeFi pools. You usually need to hit a minimum. I think it's $500 million US before the defaults and all work out. You need a 6% return for things to happen. But I think it's worth pursuing that tokenomics idea that you had, Erbil, because that might help bring a more decentralized way of managing the pool. I know it's worth considering. I need to give that some thought, but really interesting project.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're looking for more people to brainstorm that because we believe the same thing. I think tokenomics, if we design the right way, it might enable this to be decentralized risk management.
Yeah, I think another one I want to add here. So what we are thinking is merely build a general protocol on top of, in this protocol, I imagine there are 3 layers. The first layer is understanding people's income, because we think income is probably one of the most important thing in Web2 underwriting, but in Web3, nobody care about it. In Web2, because of technology limitation, because of all the banking, so everything is all garden, you cannot really do in an automatic way. And we want to do it in a very automatic way. And then hopefully that data can be available to be on top of the protocol to be used by any other developers. The second layer is the risk analysis, really understand the risk of the income. And so then the exact format, there are some details for us to figure out. Is it purely, more like in open source, or some of the pieces will be somewhat hidden. So that's something we want to figure out. And with the developers, that's another layer. The third layer is delivery. When no matter you take the investment or deliver the loan to people or take the payback from people. And how do you deliver? That's where Superfluid and other protocol comes in. And when you have more advanced protocol, you will get better loan experience. So we are going to focus on all these 3 layers, lay some foundation. Then we are going to build some apps by ourselves. And then if any one of you guys wants to continue build on top of that, and we can work together as well.
Awesome. This has been a really rich conversation. There's a lot of topics that we could really dive into, even in individual Twitter spaces. But in the interest of time, I will pass it off to Fran just to talk a little bit about Superfluid before we open it up to Q&A. And yeah, maybe we can even dive into some of those other topics that as well. But Fran, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, I mean, first thing I'd say is thanks a lot, guys, for coming. Thanks for hacking on Superfluid at ETHAmsterdam. It was great to meet you in person as well. And I mean, overall, I've said this in probably every single interview I've ever done about Superfluid, that my most the thing I'm most excited about is credit. So very excited to see you guys, perfect that vision and bring it to light. Cool. So we have this section this time. We haven't done this before, but I'm basically just going to give a bit of an update on some things around Superfluid that we've been working on, or otherwise, some, let's say, achievements that I'd like to share with people. And I hope I won't take too long, and then we can jump to Q&A. So let me just share my screen. So yeah, Superfluid. What's happened this year, right? Since the beginning of the year, it's been a few months now. So first of all, we've sponsored 5 hackathons, right? It's quite a lot for us. We've definitely scaled up our participation since last year. Last year we were trying to do fewer. This year we have a bigger team. We've hired more people, and we're able to do more hackathons. And as a result, we're able to attract some amazing projects, like for example Huma, but actually over 115 projects have already been built this year, which is an incredible number, really. It's really bullish for us to see so much interest in the protocol and so many people using it already to build their things. So obviously what this means is that there's a lot of apps that are coming soon, right? So there's a lot that are in the pipeline. Some of you are here in the call. Obviously Huma is one of them, but there's actually a few dozen applications in our pipeline right now that we are working with to bring them to production, right? And we pride ourselves in helping those builders a lot. As the guys were saying before, we help them with some introductions, but other people need more help, right? Maybe in defining the products or in finding team members. We recently helped someone else hire their first 2 employees. So we can help in a number of different ways. So there are also some applications that have launched recently. So I just wanted to give a shout out. I've seen Mark is in the chat, so I wanted to give a shout out to Degen Dogs. So I don't know how many of you in the chat are owners of Degen Dogs, but it's a great project. You should check it out. So go to degendogs.club. You can basically buy an NFT and it gives you a stream of yield-bearing Ether. So, it was one of the projects we were most excited about that came out in a hackathon last year. And yeah, I know a lot of people here in the chat have one because they have it as their Twitter profile. So pretty exciting stuff. And great job, Mark, on the community you're building over there. So yeah, there's one new dog coming out every day, by the way, so you can participate in those auctions just by having some Ether or Matic. So if you're building something, let us know. We can help. We've helped a few folks to fundraise. We've helped people go to mainnet. We've helped people with defining product. We've helped people getting jobs in our ecosystem. So whatever it is that we can help you with, let us know. We're here to help you. We're here to empower our community, and we're here to help you grow with us. And we are growing a lot this year, and we really want you to grow with us and help us get where our community wants to go. So there's a few new faces that have joined us at Superfluid. I'd like to introduce them, and just know that you're going to see them a lot more often because they're in our Discord, but also on Twitter. So even in in-person events. So we've got Mick that's joining us working on the front end. He's already made some amazing contributions to the console. So whoever out there is using the console will see his work, and obviously on some of the other things that we haven't released yet. Joshua is our community alchemist. He's been building a lot of stuff for developers, and we're very excited to have him on board now. Going forward, he will be at our events as well, helping hackers. So, if you're building in our community, you'll definitely meet Joshua. Yao, or sometimes Saleo, depending on whether it's online or offline, is building our ecosystem. So she's helping a lot of folks out there make connections, start working in the towards building ventures, looking at what the next stage is, helping define product. And overall, she's been amazing at organizing hackathons as well. And Victoria, who literally joined a week ago, is going to head our community. So very excited to have her on board as well. We're going to see her at a lot of our in-person events as well. So I'm sure everybody will have a chance to talk with her. So yeah, it's been great growing the team. We've also gone to new networks. So as some of you might know, we are now available on Optimism and Arbitrum. This was something we've been teasing for a very long time, and I'm glad that those networks are now stable enough for us to kind of, really trust them. And, we've been live, there's volume there. It's great to see usage of layer 2s, but it's not the end, right? Superfluid is going to be deployed on more networks. We're going based on community demand. So, if anyone in the chat here, anyone in Discord has any ideas on which should be our next networks, let us know. We are very interested to hear your opinions, and we will prioritize based on community demand. But of course, with more networks, we will need to adjust our UI. So we are definitely going to need a smaller font. We already have, I think, over 8 or 9 test nets, 4 main nets, and with more coming, we really have to adjust. And this is going to happen in our dashboard V2. So Vijay already mentioned this. I'm extremely excited about it. Extremely excited to have some of you test it very soon. And it's going to be an amazing advancement. So very, very excited to release this as soon as possible. So overall, there's a lot happening, a lot of ecosystem apps that are coming up, and there's a lot of people we're helping launch. So going to be more excited for Superfluid in 2022. And very excited for all the events where hopefully we'll have a chance to meet everyone as well. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Fran. Yeah, so that's actually perfect timing. We now have 15 minutes just for general Q&A or ask some questions that maybe you've been sitting on. But yeah, I'm just gonna open the floor to anyone and everyone who wants to talk about anything.
I just wanted to say woof.
Yes, woof, woof, DJ and dogs.
Woof.
Mark, can we have a founder woof, please?
Woof.
Pump it.
I think somebody had their hand up earlier, actually.
Yeah, I know.
Farzin Farah?
They did, yeah. I tried messaging him. I know the chat's a little bit weird in Zoom, but if you did have a question, feel free to ask it now.
Whoever Michael Lubker is, you're just a floating jacket.
I noticed that. It's pretty cool visual effect there.
Yeah.
Richard has a question.
Yeah, I have a question for Fran and the team. I know Superfluid is very cool to flow every second. Have you guys considered for it to flow every once in a while? Basically, support expand the protocol to become a recurring payments processing.
It's definitely possible. The problem is always the capital efficiency of it. So ultimately, smart contracts can only move money that is in the smart contracts. And what that means is if you wanted to process a monthly payment, you would need to have a month of liquidity in the smart contract. So it's not, so the reason for streaming is that it enables us to extremely increase the capital efficiency by processing payments more quickly, right? Doing basically bigger payments would always require more capital. So it's possible, but it's suboptimal in a lot of senses.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, like Joel said, it would be a step function. The problem is you would have to collateralize up to the next step. That's one way to think about it, right? So obviously, the smaller the step, the cheaper you can make it. So yeah, going with second by second is the thing that ultimately gives you the highest capital efficiency.
Yeah, I was mainly thinking from use case perspective. So the content experience enables some use cases, but there are some use cases, probably the consumer side, the user side would want to do that step-by-step payments. That may potentially increase the power of the protocol.
No, totally agree. There's a lot of things that we are exploring in terms of new agreements. Meow maybe can talk about the new agreements that are being cooked up. I think we like to think that in the future everything is going to be streaming, but Meow.
Yeah, I think as a plug, I think next usually we have every 2 weeks protocol forum. I think whoever interested in expanding the protocol scope, giving some inputs like Richard just gave, you're welcome to join, and we can discuss that every 2 weeks in Protocol Forum. And from who do we reach out if want to add to the list? I don't know. I guess just send a message in the Discord to us, and we'll invite you to our Protocol Forum. Yeah. The step function is an interesting one. I think we recently even talked about one way is that you can decouple the sender and the receiver perspective. So the sender could still send like in strings, but the receiver would receive steps. That could be an easy one way to decouple that. We are going into detail about that.
That's interesting. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, would like to join in one of the sessions to discuss a little bit more about this.
Totally.
Cool. Does anybody else have any questions? Anything you want to plug? Anything you're working on that we don't know about or that you're excited about? Mark, is there any update on Degen dogs? When are the rare ones coming out?
Well, today we've had the first dog with all 7 traits, so that's a new one. So that's the first time that's happened, but as for the future, who knows? But today's exactly 1 month since we launched, so that's a milestone. The winning bids have come down a bit, so that's something the community needs to work on, try to expand the base. So if anybody here wants to help spread the word, it would be appreciated. But yeah, so it's been 1 month so far, and we got about 25 idle WETH in our treasury. So a lot of work to do still, but yeah, it's interesting how it's gone so far.
I think someone from the chat has already placed a bid. Since you said that, my bid, I put a bid as well, and it just got canceled. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I just wanted to mention, Mark, I know you're searching for a community manager. So if anybody here is looking for a community management role, please speak to Mark, because you know, the kennel only takes the best. So it's a pretty selective process.
Indeed, yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
Mark, I actually know somebody that's working on he has this thing in beta that makes it easier to manage NFT communities, like really easy, like wallet connection and like seeing what different community members are doing and tying it into Discord and stuff. So I can introduce you to him as well, because he's been talking to lots of other communities in the space and he might have some thoughts.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I mean, it kind of come to mind in terms of promotions. A few years back, I worked on a Web 2 startup where we were trying to be like a 2-sided marketplace, matching up YouTubers, sort of influencers on YouTube with brands. And that's the kind of thing that's kind of lacking for sort of NFT projects, because there's a lot of sort of scammers out there with like inflated Twitter followings that'll, you know, retweet your stuff, but their followers are either fake or just people clicking and stuff. So there really is a need, I think, for something where that can bring either legit influencers together with NFT projects or manage the collabs between different projects in a way that's fair. I think there's opportunity there. So maybe this person's working on some stuff like that.
For sure. I don't know if it's quite that kind of marketplace, but I think this guy that I'm referring to he's been doing a ton of research, and he could probably help in some capacity.
Cool. Yeah, it'd be good to make the connection. Thanks.
Well, I'll do a quick shameless self-plug here, but a little bit later today, in about 3 hours, we're actually going to be going live. It's going to be me, and I believe Sam's going to be joining as well. We're going to be live on YouTube, basically going through like how to set up your own custom native super tokens. The short version is most super tokens upgrade some underlying token like USDC or WETH or something like this. But what we're actually going to be doing is showing you how to create your own native super token from scratch. So you deploy a token, it's already a super token, no need to upgrade, downgrade any of that funky stuff, and you got all your own custom functionality. So if you guys want to learn a little bit about that, be sure to tune in.
Yeah, absolutely. Be sure to check that out.
Oh, Meow corrected me. It's a pure super token. That's what we're calling it, because it doesn't rely on an underlying.
I need to get fluent with the names now.
Just don't think about it, man. Cache and validation and naming, hardest things in computers.
Yeah, so we were talking before about the protocol forum. That's also a place where we extensively debate naming of new things. So if you, like me, don't like some of the names we were stuck with, it's because we didn't fight enough in the previous calls. So if you feel very strongly about how things should be named, please join the protocol forums.
Is there anything else that anyone wants to bring up? Maybe it's a project you're working on, or a question about our roadmap.
Can I suggest one thing? Roadmap is not only about a product development, but also it's the documentation. And so I'm wondering if we can collect, whoever build a product on Superfluid and can contribute to, where we can together, obviously with the need by Superfluid team, but with all of us, just continue to improve the documentation.
Yeah, I believe the documentation is already public. It's on GitHub, right, Sam?
In terms of like just overall docs, yeah, everything is actually at docs.superfluid.finance. There's quite a bit there. If you have any...
Yeah, I think my point was that some of those ones, for example, when we build for the first time, and we can point out, we will be happy to share which area we found we spent tons of time. But if there is better documentation on some of those, it will be actually making new developers experience better. So I was wondering if any team they have onboarded on Superfluid, they can contribute. Hey, which area of the documentation can be better? And if they can contribute to update the document, it will be better. But I don't feel confident to update it. But at least let you guys know where you can continue to make it better. I think that will make the onboarding new developers better.
100%. Yeah. So I think what Fran's referring to is I think you can open up a PR on GitHub. If there's a specific section that you want clarification on, or if there's a specific section that you like have a specific update you'd like to make, you should be able to do that on GitHub. There is a docs like folder I can send you. But yeah, I mean, look, if there's anything else, like I'm happy to chat one-on-one, and we can figure out whatever that we could do to make it easier, right? That was good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe could also, sorry.
Please.
Do we also send our hackathon past participants, or just the last hackathon people, like a survey, like from time to time, just because sending a pull request can be quite a heavy step, right? But maybe just a couple of words would be already quite valuable information, and then we can collect ourselves and organize.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I want to add here is we already have a hackathon survey that we send to every participants, but of course we can focalize more also on the doc side, like which ones you think is clear, which ones are not clear, and which kind of advices you want to provide to us to improve which part. So it will be really for us like an input to improve the docs in the future also.
Cool, awesome. Yep.
Awesome. So we just have a few minutes left before we wrap up today. Feel free to any shameless self plugs or anything you want to chat about.
Who's excited about Amsterdam? Who's coming? Herbal, Richard, are you guys coming? No?
I would love to join if it's virtual. And in person, Denver already, I'm still copying. Almost 2 months away from Denver. I'm still copying, so I'm scared.
COVID
And I'm
got
out of EU visas, so I need to renew it before I can come to EU again.
Yeah, visas are
Next
holding
one.
back a lot of people, unfortunately. Yeah, so it's always a tricky part of it. Well, for whoever's joining, we'll be wearing these green sweaters that Yao and Sam are wearing. So you can find us anywhere because they stick out like red eye. So pretty good.
Oh, thank you for plugging this. What we can do to win that sweater? Let's say if I submit some PRs, would I be able to win some Superfluid sweater?
I don't think that one is only for the few special team members. But Jade is the swag master, so you just have to corrupt her and she can order anything for you.
Awesome. Thank you for the tip.
I think in the future.
A DGen dog. So if you get her a DGen dog, I'm sure she'll get you a sweater.
Yeah, I can be easily bribed.
But I think in the future for engaged community members, maybe we're gonna design something special. So keep engaged and wait for the swag.
Exactly like Yao's saying, we're working on some more things beyond the shirts and stuff that people get. So super excited to announce that when they're all ready.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Nice. Well, thanks everyone. We are at time, so I think we can maybe stop recording and then, we can hang around off the record if anyone wants to keep chatting.